I think it was a format where they wanted me to sing this. But it's a format where they don't want me to do it anymore. So it's a format where actually we're going to be talking a lot today about the different things happening here in the Chicago area with Mills Realty and a few other folks. But the real start right now, we're going to talk about what you guys are doing. You've introduced some more interest or functions for what you guys do around the Chicago area. We're going to talk about this crazy market right now that's happening here, and we're going to bring the information to you on the Russ Meek's Big Show today. So where are we going these days, sir?
Well, thanks again, Lester, for having me. And we've been, I like to bring information. I like to folks to know what we're doing. I brought Shelly, she's my administrator. She's never been on the show, by the way, Lester.
Yes.
You've never met her. She's never been on the show before. So
I've met her before, though.
You've met her before, but you've never really, you haven't.
We didn't put her on the camera.
So I brought her here today so we can kind of just talk about what's happening in our industry, not only our industry, but in the property management side, because Shelly handles a part of the Mills Realty, Mills management side of the business. So, I mean, same company, or two different companies, but under the same umbrella.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little about that, what's going on, and just a few things so we can kind of keep the public informed of what's happening in today's real estate world, which I'm sure most people, try to keep up.
It's not an easy thing to handle. No. Right now we got major changes. We got interest rates. Hopefully we'll be seeing in September where we'll have some rate changes where the markets can at least react and say, hey, now I can get a mortgage at least at a much cheaper rate, which will demand more people to look for houses. So that's the thing that's going to happen. But young lady, tell me, what's the deal right with you? Are you going to take over Mills and say, hey, you're going to move this guy out of the way, or what's the deal?
Yes, well, Mills management, the side of it is once they buy the multi-unit or the condo association, that's where we take over and we help them to run it like a business as it should according to the bylaws. So yes, we're taking over the Chicagoland area and looking forward to, we cover single family homes, we cover multi-units, we cover big apartment buildings. So everything from the small all the way to the large.
Okay.
So yes, that includes just overseeing the property and property improvements and collecting of rents and evictions and all that comes with managing the property on a day-to-day basis. Repairs.
You guys are going to focus here in the Chicagoland area only, or all around the country?
Oh, all around.
We're here.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're here.
Right.
So,
got it.
But the focus will expand eventually.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we've been doing so. So let me just start out by what's happening in the real estate industry. So as we know, hoping, quote unquote, I always say pundits because we never know.
Yeah.
But the fact that hopefully we may get an interest rate cut, right? They're talking about a quarter point this year. Quarter point. If we get a quarter point, we'll have more inventory. People can sell, they can refi. There's a lot more stuff happening, and according to the industry standard, when it comes to real estate, they're looking at about a point and a half, right, by the end of the year, which would really be good for our industry, right? If you get a point and a half. So hopefully we get that point and a half, and hopefully that our industry, I'm gonna say churn, the word churn a little bit faster, because right now, I think the last time I came, I told you guys that we still have a deficit in the in the market. When I say a deficit in the inventory, so we're hoping to change. Well, not we're hoping to change, but hoping that with interest rate drop, that can change, and people get a little bit more busier. People want to sell. People, you can move much more easy. The money flows, as you're a money guy, so you know how money is. Money flows a lot faster, or a lot easier amongst people. So
just for what he's talking about, For you folks who may not be familiar with what's happening, the Federal Reserve actually controls the money flow here in the country. And right now in September, they're expecting to decrease the rates that they're doing on the prime rate for lending. So people who have to take mortgages and buy houses got to get a mortgage to buy these houses. And right now, we're thinking at least the rate will be better for people to do it because it will be cheaper to pay when you pay less on this rate. So that's what's going to happen in February or in September.
In September.
And that's going to take place. So the format is right now, we're all waiting to see this to take place. Right now, people like Mr. Mills and his company deal with this from multiple areas, for selling to buying to moving things around the area. So this is an area that's really going to be making a lot more sense in the near future. So I'm here with you. My markets, I'm on the equity side. I do the stocks and the bonds for clients. He does the real estate. So the format is like, hey, let's get happy here and get these rates in line. So we want the Fed at least to give us a little bit of a help. So hoping it'll take place. So with you, I mean, we talked about inventory before.
Yes.
Here in the Chicago market, inventory is still tight.
Still tight.
We got a lot of people who want to buy, but don't have it to give them to them.
Absolutely.
So what are we going to do? We're going to go build? I don't think so.
Well, you know, there's still so much. The inventory is so small that you're still having the cash buyers, or the 20, 30, 40% down. They're outbidding the FHA buyers. You know, there's some buyers that we're working with that are FHA 5% down. It's hard to get a home, especially if you're in a neighborhood that's very choicey. I'm going to say. I'm going to use that word. Or the FHA buyers are making their moves, and they're bidding above the value of the home, and they're still being outbid. Personally, I'm currently working with folks. We've been looking for months, and we've made 10 offers, and because we're going FHA, there's no luck. It happened today. The guys, the other real estate, my client wants to go with a conventional buyer instead of FHA. So all I'm saying is the FHA buyers are being squeezed out of the market. It depends on where you are. They're literally being squeezed out. And that's the seller has control. He or she can choose whatever he wants, right? He or she wants. But they're being squeezed out in certain neighborhoods.
Got it.
And that's one of the things that, not that we want to change, because we can't really change that, because if the buyer wants a conventional, if the seller wants a conventional, hey, that's what he or she's going to take. We don't have any control, even though that conventional may be cheaper than or less expensive than the FHA. That's what he wants. They don't want to deal with the FHA, so.
They don't have to deal with that. I'm seeing a huge amount of cash that's right now here in the marketplace. I got people coming into the country, actually, coming from out of the States and now coming into Chicago, wanting to get a house to live. And right now, they're cash buyers. I'm like, these guys, you just came into the country. How do you get all this cash?
Well, they brought it in with them.
Well, I'm saying, you got all this cash. It's not like they've been working here. And things like, okay, we just got the cash. We want to buy. That's demand that's there. They're looking for property. And right now, I got local folks here in the Chicago marketplace who've been there all their lives. Are now saying, I'm getting bought out by someone who just came into the country. He just walked through the border. And
affordability.
It's another issue. So we got that issue. But right now, I'm also seeing people saying, look, I don't know if I want to get into this market right now. The rates are just not where I want them to be at this point. So I got that blocked, saying, I don't know if it's time to buy. So the question for you, young lady, is what do we do with these folks who are standing on the sideline right now? How do we make them change?
Well, let me answer that, because I'm going to let her take on some of the property management side. Yeah. But, okay, so I want to give an advice to folks. No matter what, it's always a good time to buy, right? Yeah. Now, because when you're renting, what are you doing? But blowing money away, right? You're not really doing anything for yourself, right? When you're renting. Well, let me say when we go back, 2008, and when the market started coming back. People are so used to this 2%, interest rate.
Right.
2-3%.
Not there anymore.
It's not there anymore. And I don't think that's going to be the. I don't think that's going to be the norm. I think once we drop 1.5 points, that'll be the norm. The 4 to 5%, that will be the norm, because as you can remember, Mr. Blair, 1992, 3, 4, 5, 6, come up just in 2007, it was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10%. Right? So all I'm saying is the 5%, we believe once we get to 5%, that'll be the norm. We're at 6.75 right now, approximately. You got a point, at 5, I think that's where the rate's going to stay for a long time. That'll be the next norm. But I don't think the 2%, unless of course the economy goes crash and you got to get all come back again. But
because right now we got some issues. I don't know who's going to do the November election. That's going to be a big factor here.
That's going to be a factor. But right now, I think the economy is strong enough to withstand a 5% norm, and that's where it's going to be. I don't think it's going to. Will it drop back to 2%? I don't think so.
Not in the near term.
Not in the near term. Yeah, it'll probably come. If something happens, but I think 5 is the norm. So if someone want to buy, I think that was a great time. Yeah. Will they want to refi? Because it's harder to buy today.
Yes. I got to tell you guys, you've been in the business for a while. Right now we have a marketplace that's going up and down. We always have cycles no matter what. That's going to be the case. But right now, I'm looking here at the Fed, I'm looking here at the economy, and I'm looking here at this big factor. I got Trump on one side, I got Harris on the other side, and people saying, okay, what side of the coin are we going to get into? Because right now, I'm ready to jump out of the ship. I'm going to another country. I don't want to buy here in the U.S. Just get me to a safe ground. And right now, we have those issues. Because we had a lot of people with tons of cash saying, where do I take my money? And that's the biggest issue I'm seeing with a lot of folks.
Well, I say taking money investment. Now I've never introduced this part of the Mills Realty business. Is a management side. We have a management side. Shelly handles that quite a bit when it comes to the property management. So if you're looking at where to take your money, I say housing is still the best stock on the market. Well, of course, I'm partial to that too, right? But from what we see and from what we're doing when it comes to the property management side, listen, I think we are making money for our client, and we are making sure that our client have a better stakeholder in their property. In that, we're now taking on property that is whether they're going through some issues, and we're bringing them back to where that people can be proud of them, and the value is there. So I think if you have money and you want to be able to figure out where to take your money, go into real estate, buy with a multi-unit. It could be a 2, a 3, a 5, a 10, a 20, a 40. You come to Mills Realty and say, hey, we'd like your help on managing this property, keeping the tenants, collecting the rents. That's where you have Shelly comes in, and I'm gonna let Shelly tell you some of what she does when it comes to the fact that if you come to Mills Realty, our umbrella is we have a Mills Management, and we take on all sizes and sort of property for investors who don't know how to handle them or who don't know how to take this process.
Shelly, question for you?
Sure.
I got property on the south side. I got a multi-unit, 20-unit building.
Nice.
It's been vacant for the last 3, 4, 5 years.
Right.
And right now I need to bring this back to life.
Yes.
Is that something that you can help?
Yes, and that's what we do. We spend time not only revitalizing the property, but also we're one-stop shop. So Mills Realty will even help get the tenants in the building, and then we can manage the collection of rents, just improving the building, making sure that, it's up to code, of course, and the livability, the connection with the tenants, making sure that they live happily as well, making sure the exterminator comes in every month and make sure that, like I said, we're taking care of business to make sure the tenants are comfortable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because there was properties that were really in the south side that people couldn't give away. It's a format where, hey, I got all these units here vacant, and it's just the area, we get the crime, we get all the things that are going on in the area, and people just couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
So they would say, look, I'm just getting away. Here,
Yeah.
you can have it. Give me $1,000. It's like, hey, well, hey, here's a 30-unit building they want to give away for $1,000.
Yeah.
It sounds like a great deal, but sometimes we say, no, just run away and get out of there.
Yeah.
And
Let me give you an example. Like we just took on, we take, okay, so let me give, you've heard of CCL, well, not CCL, but CSO. I'm not sure you know who CSO is. CSO is the Center for Shared Ownership. And they're a division of the city of Chicago that actually helps with trouble building, right? I work closely along with CSO. And I'm a part of Chicago Rehab Network, right? Their goal is to keep affordable housing in Chicago. So those are two companies who are intertwined that I'm a part of. Now, saying that, I'm also, by the way, a licensed property manager. So what that does for us at Mills Management, we would get called at times to say, hey, Mills Management, we have this building, and it's part of the Trouble Building Initiative, and would you like to help us get it out of or bring it back to life? What we do is we would at least take a look at the building, talk to the owners, see what they want to do. And sometimes these buildings are in court. We have a building right now, we have 2 buildings that are in court, all right? And when they go to court, the judge would say, do you have a property manager? And Shelly can tell you, some people don't want to use property managers because they don't want to pay a property manager. And sometimes if they don't pay a property manager, they turn around and the court says, hey, by the way, we're going to take you to receivership. That's where Mills Management come in and say, you know what? We don't have to go to receivership. We will sign a contract with you, and the judge recognizes who we are because we have done this before. So the judge comes in and says, okay, oh, I see you have a contract with a legitimate property management company. So what the judge would do, the judge would say, okay, let me see your updates. Let me see what you're doing. So we come in, we sign the contract. Sometimes they got to go back to court. The judge says, okay, you do have a contract. Let me know what you're doing. So the judge would give them another date. Now these are for owners who do not want to go into receivership, right? So the judge says, okay, it's like now we're going back to court on the 8th or 9th of this September for a case that we just signed. So they go in, judge, here's a property management contract, and we take minutes to the court, what we're doing, how we're moving forward. And so the judge kind of ease off a little bit because they know that they have someone in charge. We have come, Shelly been working on a unit, my gosh, where the whole entire financials are give them an idea.
A mess.
Tell them what it seems like.
Yes, it's a lot of people think it's easy to manage a property, and so when they get the property, they will ask for help from everybody, from maybe the neighborhood person, or they might pick a company and say, hey, just help me with this because I want to get it done. But what they don't realize is it's a skill set to do cost savings and to manage the property within the means so that there's a balance. The money coming in can not only pay the overhead expenses, but then leave the association with some monies for repairs or just a cushion. Yeah. But the problem is that a lot of people don't understand the financial side of running a multi-unit. And so that is where Mills Management comes in, and we'll sort through all the financials. We'll take a look at their books, and we'll make sure that if we can find maybe cheaper insurance, or we can find, instead of having just a person who thinks they're a handyman, we at least have the experts come in, and they have because of their licensure, they might have a cheaper cost even than the one handyman that you want to help down the block. So it does help to have the property management who has that network in place to say, okay, we're not only managing the building, we're helping to manage the monies that come with generating.
And we're doing it from a cost-effective basis. where
Correct.
We can give you people who are licensed and get this done through the city. If there's ever any issues, they can get you certified to make sure you can be back in operation.
Exactly.
And have to go through the fines and expenses that you normally do with the handyman.
Exactly.
Because they can't give you that same type of option.
Right, and guarantees, correct.
Now the question is, we're talking to people who might be listening and say, what's the minimum size that you guys would manage? What structure? 2 flat or 3
2 flat, yeah.
Yeah, we did too.
We have a few 2 flats, 3 flats. You know, we have the small units, we have the big units, 21, 30. We have those as well. So, and we go all the way up to if you have a 300 unit, you know.
So my question is, what's it going to cost me for you guys to manage?
It all depends on the status of of the property, and again, you know, that's the thing about mills. We tailor make it to be affordable.
Okay, so what's the average, let's say, for a 10-unit building, and I'm fully occupied. All I need is just people to maintain it and manage it. What's it going to cost me?
Well, let me give you a range. So the range is anywhere from $38, $40 per door to about $52 per door. So that depends on where you are.
Okay.
And condition of the building. I mean, how much work we got to put into it. So you could start at $40 to $52, and then so we'll go in and make that analysis, and then we'll determine, you know what, you guys are in decent shape. We don't need to do a lot. We can charge you $40 per door, $42 per door. But if you're looking at coming in at doing everything, it's like, it's time consuming, and we're bringing a staff with us, so people got to be paid. And I want to kind of go, not go over, but expand on what Shelly was talking about. When you come to property management, you need to, we're bringing a staff with us, and not only we are looking at your finance, but we're looking at your bylaws. Yeah. When was the last time you updated your bylaws? You know what I'm saying? Have you filed taxes? Yeah. Is your organization filed its legal requirements with the state, so that if you want to get a loan, because some companies, some association, they may need a loan. But if you need a loan, did you file your taxes? Do you have anything in your reserves? Are you saving money for reserve? What's your capital expenditure for next year, right? So there's, it's not a one time. It's a whole.
A lot of different variables.
There's a lot of different things that come with that,
Bottom line is, again, a lot of people I've worked with in the past typically are charging from a 10 to 15% of average revenue for management fees. And that's, again, it gets expensive if you have to get your property managed. We don't know. It has to first be determined what's needed. So
we have to determine what's needed. Because
biggest issues I've had some problems with a lot of folks, the legal issues, always an issue, managing a property here, getting the reserves that are needed, and maintaining the property, because you need to have a reserve fund, and you need to have sources to make sure you can get the capital to get what's needed. So those are the things I usually talk with clients about. This has to be done. This is something that mills can provide.
Absolutely. Yes. I tell people, we were talking to one of our clients, we took over a property a couple of months ago, 4 or 5 months ago. Yeah. And now, they have never had a property manager. Never.
Okay.
So we are sorting, our staff is sorting through their financials. You can't get this thing done in 30 days. I mean, we don't know what you guys have been doing for the past years. And you're like, okay, we need a budget today. Come on, we just started sorting through stuff, and we don't know all the stuff that you have done. So when you're building and you haven't had a property manager that can transfer properly all the books from the past 3-5 years, you can't just expect and a property manager coming in to do all your books over to find out where your budgets are, what you've been spending for the past 3 to 4 years. So you can have an accurate idea of what your budget is. You can't come in and say, hey, it's 3 months now, I need a budget.
Yeah,
come on. We got to go through years.
You need a lot more of years of expense. Look at the history of the building.
Yeah.
But I have to throw out the table. Got a client, got $500,000 in his pension reserves, about to retire, and he says, "I'm going to get a building." What should they do?
Well, if they're looking at well, it all depends on what they want to do. Really, if they're looking at a 10 or they have $500,000, depends on where they want to buy. I mean, certain areas $500,000 don't get you much. Right?
Yeah, it's not a lot. So.
It's not a lot. $500,000 could be a 2 flat, but it really depends on where they want to buy. What are they looking at? So if you're looking at someone who's retired, they may be looking at cash flow, all right? And so I would advise them, if you're looking at cash flow, you can't buy on the north end of the city where a 2 flat is $500,000 or more.
Right.
So you got to look at a different part of the city where you can get 4, 5, 6 units, right? So that you can say, you know what, I can put 6 tenants in here. I can get me at $500,000, 20% down. You're looking at, $420,000. Okay, so my mortgage is $3,000 and something per month.
Okay.
All right. Okay, I can get a 6 flat here where I can get 6 tenants, paying $1,000 a month. Your cash flow in $3,000. Just numbers, right? Your cash flow in $3,000 a month, because by the time you pay your mortgage, your water, your insurance, all that stuff. Okay, so you're gonna be cash flowing $2,500 a month. So if you got $500,000, it depends on where you want to buy.
Yeah.
It really depends on what are you looking for, because if you're retired, you're definitely not looking at appreciation, right?
Right.
If you're retired, you're looking at cash flow.
That's usually the target. I've had some clients coming in and they said, well, I got $500,000 here. I think we're going to buy a 20-unit building on the south side. They said, well, there's a lot more than just the south side of the building. You could probably get it for the $500,000, but there's other issues. I got to deal with tenants. I got to deal with legal. I got to deal with maintenance. These are items that I always have to look at to say, look, are you ready to go through those dilemmas? Because it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It is a lot of work. That's why you hire a qualified team to actually get that done for you. If you're going to retire, you get $500,000, whether it's $500,000 down payment or $500,000 purchase, you hire a qualified team.
Right.
Like Mills Management, who will come in and just kind of assess the building. Not only do we come with just a qualified team, but we come with legal, we come with maintenance, and we package that together. And we made sure that your building is in a position where you will actually survive.
Now, what's your story for a young person thinking, I want to get a building at some point in the future. I'm starting to put money away. So am I going to look at putting away, let's say thousands of dollars a month and reaching my goal to say I want to get a 2 flat, or no, I want to get a 3 flat. And I'm going to use that for an income property in the next future, and I'm going to save this money. What would be a good process for them to do? And talking today, what are we going to start with? Right now, I'm seeing a 3 flat's going to cost me at least probably $300,000 or something, depending on the location. But what would be a good promo to say this could make sense?
What if they're a young person, right?
Yes.
It's a little tricky
Okay.
for a young person. Depends on how young they are. I'm going to say that.
Let's say a 30-year-old.
Well, that's good. Because I just sold a 19-year-old a 2 flat. But of course he had his dad with him. But hey, I'd probably refer them to you to first start saving the money with your company.
Well, we manage money for folks. It can be done. But I'm just trying to give a rule of thumb and say, look, I'm a 30-year-old. I'm saying I'm going to get a building at some point in time, and I'd like to have that set up where it can be managed by Mills, and it's going to be generating money from rents, and then I could just say, forget about it. It manages itself.
Yeah. They also have programs that also helps the investors, where you can get a grant and a loan that can help facilitate things like a new roof that's like average maybe anywhere between $50,000 to $100,000, so that you can even improve the building, which improves and increases the value of it, so that you get that return on investment.
Is there a market today for people really being given incentive to get multiple unit buildings to bring to the marketplace for rentals? Is there an incentive there?
I don't know if there's an incentive to do that,
We always talk
Right-
about people
right
needing a
now-
place.
Correct.
Yeah, and you know those programs are normally they're not around as they used to be. I don't know if you remember that. There's programs around where, especially retiree, could have gone to their, you know, whether it's their alderman or where, you know, a city and actually get money. Because I remember one or two people on the west side of the city who had gotten brand new windows and, you know, to improve that. But I think they were retired individual. But to say if there's a program, if the city has a program, I'm not aware of that. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know that the city has been investing on the west side of the city. Maybe not the city, but investors. And I spoke to one investor a couple of weeks ago, and they were getting land from the city to provide affordable housing. And the city was giving up the land, and they had to be in a certain price range. But they were building all these brand new homes and selling it to, I mean, of course they were making money, because but they had a cap. That's one thing I remember he told me. They had a cap, and they had to be within that cap range so that the home could be affordable. Because I remember the investor telling me, well, you know, I could sell this house for $500,000, but the city only wants me to sell for $375,000. But because of the program they're in, right, they had to just kind of make sure it's affordable.
The question I'm finding right now, we have in the areas of color, let's say the African American and Hispanic communities, right now we still have a lot of real estate in those areas that are, let's say, reasonable value, where you can get in and say, I can buy a place for $50,000 or $100,000 and get in there and move forward. But the question is right now, these areas are slated to say, are we going to improve these areas, put in the capital that's needed by the city and by the legislation, say, hey, let's make these things work. Are you guys saying it's part of the plan, the master plan for the Chicago area? Is that part of the plan?
I believe so, especially in the 95th to 127th, right?
Okay.
That neighborhood. That's Roseland.
Yeah.
I think part of the plan is to do that. I know this city. I've actually, as a member of Chicago Rehab Network, I've actually seen the city's plan to improve that whole corridor, and I've actually, been a part of a classroom where they've came in and say, well, this is what we intend on doing from 95th to 120, I think it's 127, where the red line is going to end.
Right, because that's the whole expansion, because
That's
CTE right now has a $3.9 billion project
Yes.
to improve the red line going from 95th up to 130th, and that's going to be part of the expansion project there. But that comes in line with saying, hey, we'll have the red line rolling, but we'll still need housing. Housing is going to be available for people to live, so they have a place to stay. They can use the red line, come back into the city, and go back and forth and make it easy. So they're saying that's the way it's going to work, but we've got to make it happen.
Right.
Well, what I noticed in the especially the Roseland neighborhood, I see a value increase in property value
Okay.
in that area. So,
I mean, what are we saying the average price right now in Roseland would be?
well, let me say this. I had a client of mine who bought a home. He spent $25,000 for it a year ago.
Okay.
I just sold it for $205,000.
Good
Right.
return.
Pretty good return, right? And he bought it 2 years ago. He did some work to it. And so what I notice is buyers, investors, the smaller investors, and I have guys who really just wants to be in that area because they know that the return is so good, right, in the Roseland neighborhood. And I've actually had clients who wants to buy and rent, not buy and rent, but buy property to actually use as rental in that neighborhood. Because sometimes we don't see the potential 5 years from now, but the investors who see it, they're buying now in Roseland because they see what's happening. So if you pick up a home in Roseland today, I would say in 3 years it's triple, maybe 4 or 5 times. So I'm going to say I love the fact that people are buying there now.
Got it. It's happening. So.
It's happening. So I'm not tell people not to sell, but I'm saying the people that are selling, and not that I don't want them to sell, but the people that are selling are losing value if they stay for the next couple of years. It'll be much more valuable.
Got it. So what do you think, young lady? So what are you seeing right now for Chicago? You had a look here at the marketplace and say, where do people need to be? Do they need to go to multiple units, go to single families, or?
Well, interestingly enough, there are people, instead of buying single-family homes, are buying multiple units and housing their families.
Okay.
So that, as they grow and go, and then turn that into a rental income, so that mom may be on the first floor and you have cousin on the second floor, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people do use the multi-units as a family home, and then that turns into income generating, where as they move out, the kids get older, they go off to college, now mom can rent their unit and bring in that income. So a lot of times we see that turn where, the families have moved out and now we can put in renters. And so now that brings up the property value, especially depending, like he said, on the area that they're at. The property value increases, and thus then the rental increases, which gives them that return on investment.
So I'm not saying the old model, I got to buy a house,
Right.
I got to get out there and hey, my first home. We're not saying that anymore. We're saying, look, we're talking about the multi-unit buildings where I can live there, my daughter, other family members, and we have this as a property that's part of our legacy.
Correct.
That can continue on.
Yes.
Legacy.
Yes.
That's the new model. That we're
That's
trying
the
to
new
make.
model.
And
Yes.
right now, it's becoming very, very more expensive these days to make that legacy roll.
Yeah.
But I want to say legacy. I want you to think about that word legacy, because I've talked to folks who doesn't understand legacy, right? Who understand our legacy, and I was just talking to, and the reason you said that word, it just brought me back to someone that I was just talking to and talking about, and I had to explain legacy and how they don't want to buy a property because they don't want to own any property, and I actually used that word when they were talking. I said, you need to leave a legacy for your children. And some people don't get that. Some people think, oh, I'm not going to buy, I'm just going to rent because I can move anytime, but you got to live somewhere. So why not be the person that owns the property instead of paying someone else?
Right.
Now, I'm not saying paying, listen, I love you when you're paying someone else because I want to be paid, right? But I'm saying for the people who try to, I always encourage people, it's so important to leave legacy for your children and your children's children. And, for you to say, I'm going to get me a home because I want to leave to my daughter, my son, whatever that is, But that's so important. Legacy. That's the word right
Legacies
there.
are great. Just one thing I'll tell you, stay away from divorces. Because when you do that, when you do the prenuptial agreement, you want to make sure that the legacy is included there to say, hey, you don't get your property snatched away from a divorce situation. Because that's an issue that you definitely want to keep in mind.
All right. So just gotta head back, head back to property management. I want to say, we bring a team with us. It is so important that I want to make sure that people are aware that property management is a very serious business. I mean, whether it's all right. So I've given you so many stories of people who I've worked with who just based on their two flat, they don't want to be bothered anymore. They just want to give up. And I'd say you don't have to give up because you have to have the tenacity to literally manage property. You got to have that drive, that hunger,
It's a headache, though.
It's a headache if you do not want to do it.
Right.
But when Shelly, when we take it on, it's not a headache. It's always a challenge.
Right.
I would
Right?
prefer.
But it's a good challenge for me and Shelly.
Correct.
I would prefer
Yeah.
someone else to do it because when I had to manage properties that I had, again, I don't want to be in court every other week.
Right.
I don't want to be dealing with tenants that don't want to pay their rent.
Right.
I don't want to have to go through the mortgage scenario where my rates get fixed up all the time and the insurance go through the roof. It's a headache.
Yeah.
All
It is
I
a
want to do
headache.
Is to
Okay.
pass that headache on
Right.
to somebody else.
Yeah, because you'd be surprised even the violations in terms of, they didn't mow the grass, or you have garbage that
He
didn't get
shovel the snow.
right.
Yeah, like,
So-
what does the city of Chicago get of it? Well,
Exactly, and that's why it's vital to have the property management team that knows, okay, we have the staff that'll go out and shovel the snow and make sure that those big bulk garbages get taken out so that we don't have any violations against the buildings.
and then again,
Yours.
the individual who's the owner can call you guys at all times.
Correct.
Make sure that you, as property managers, are taking care of the job.
Yep.
And if there's some big problem coming up, like a major snowstorm, blizzard, or something else is about to happen, you can call, get your opinion, say, what do we need to do?
Right.
You say, look, just relax. We're taking care of it.
Yes,
Well, see,
teamwork.
See, the thing is, we have a team.
Yeah,
We have a maintenance team.
Yeah.
So we don't have to think about it.
right,
The maintenance team know that if there's a snowstorm, they got to shovel the snow.
right,
So that's what we come with.
It's part of the contract.
correct.
Exactly. We take care of everything. So people would buy their property and it's like, I'm gonna take a vacation. They know they know we got it. So our team includes whether it's electricians and plumbers and snow guys and cleanup guys, and so we have this entire package that we at Mills Realty can say, here, now you pay us, of course, and we pay our team. Or you can pay your team directly. We're very flexible. We don't have this one package for everybody.
Got it.
Because some people want us to handle everything. Some people want us to say, hey, send us a bill, and they pay it.
Got it.
But whether it's legal, accounting, administration,
Yeah.
repairs, we will cover you.
Okay.
As long as you can afford to pay us,
Got it.
and we will get it done for you.
So right now we have the whole umbrella that's covered. Right now, we're the management team for you, owner,
Yeah.
and you can call us at any time. We have the contract, we have it in place, it's defined what has to be done, and we
Yes.
take care of it. Is that
Yes.
the case?
Yes. See, what happened is, I'm not sure if you were. I mean, for me, I'm just a little bit different because I work closely with the city at times, people from the city to deal with what's called trouble building initiative.
Okay.
So that's the reason why we have a gamut of everything in place, right? So for the condo owners out there who are having problems with their condo and not aware, or maybe it's not aware, but if you're condo owners and you guys have been having trouble for like a long time.
Sounds like a client that I told to call you.
Yeah, maybe something like that. So, but we cannot going to turn your building over in a month because the culture is so screwed up, right? So we decide. So we'll take time to turn your building over. In the meantime, it'll be a slow crawl. But some people want, hey, you've run this building in the ground for 10 years, and now you want me to do it in 3 months.
Right.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen
No,
that way.
it doesn't happen that way, right? We've turned around buildings and just make sure the building is now a happy place to live.
Got it.
They got better quality tenants,
Got
right?
flowers and everything.
That's what I'm
Right.
saying. You got everything.
We've had owners who have said, I've been trying to get this owner to pay their assessment, and they've had trouble. And Mills was able to come in and communicate with that owner and even make payment plans or even apply for monies where now they got a grant they didn't have to even pay back, and they're back on track.
So bottom line is, you guys can do it. Question is, how do they reach you guys? Is it better to go on the internet, or is there a number they should be calling, or what's the best way to do this?
Yeah, they can either visit our website, which is millsreal.com, millsreal.com, or they can call us at 773-226-5764.
Okay, and you guys looking at her again? She's married, so you don't have to.
Listen, you always got some. but it's just so important to I want to say this as a service to the people who be watching. If they're a condo and they feel, if you're a condo owner and you feel like your problem, you have issues with your building, it doesn't hurt for you to call. I mean, you Lester had referred me to a major project at one time that we were advising, right?
Right.
But what I'm saying is, I have no problem coming out and say, hey, what's your problem? How can we help? And just kind of give you some advice on where you guys think you can go.
Am I going to have to pay you?
Yeah, for the first time, no. I'm gonna come meet with
I
you.
just want to make sure, you know.
I'm gonna come meet with the condo board and just say, how can I help?
Yeah.
And just kind of talk a little bit about. I'm not gonna. You don't have to pay me to come out, but I'm gonna come out and just say, how can I help? Because, you know, being in the position where I have as a licensed property manager, I love helping.
Yeah.
I love kind of coming out and say, how can I help you guys? Right. So I'm gonna do that for anyone who's listening who maybe having a problem with their condos, or one or two or three owners get together and say, hey, we need to seek some professional advice.
Yeah.
It's not going to cost you. Go to millsreal.com, send me a message or call the number,
Yes.
and just say, can you come out and help? What was the number, Shelly?
Yeah, 773-226-5764.
Right, so we can come out and we'll just talk. Just like me and you did the last time we had a conversation with the major condo that was having major problems. I'm not going to charge them.
Right.
Now, if you want to hire us, that's a different thing.
Right.
But to come out and give you advice, no.
Got it.
Or I'll give you advice on the phone, because I've given many people advice on the phone.
Right.
And just say, tell me a little bit about your problem, about your issue. And I tell them what to do.
It's done.
Yeah.
For me, the major thing with clients, I manage money, and we're trying to find out the dynamics of what's going to happen for the next 5 to 10 years, what's going on. I'm going to be retiring here. I got a lot of baby boomers that are going around. They got all this pension money and saying, hey, where am I going to put my money? Keep it to Lester and keep it in the bonds and the stocks?
Right.
Well, not always the best thing. I'm always for diversifying. I don't want to have money all in one thing. But
Right.
look at the real estate, look at the stocks, look at the bonds,
Yeah.
and let's say, what's my portfolio going to be? Buy gold if we want to do that. That's another thing that can be done. But
Yeah.
the bottom line right now is understand what you have and how to manage it.
Exactly.
And it's the same with real estate.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to understand what you have. All right? Same with real estate.
And it's always location.
Because people buy real estate and they just buy it because their friends are buying it.
Right.
But you have to understand the process of property management. You have to understand that.
Yeah.
I mean, we as trained property managers are like, okay, we know once we look at the building, we realize, okay, this is going to be this much work. Or, yeah, it's not going to be that much work.
Right.
But to us, it's not it's not first, it's not a problem. It's always a challenge. And the thing is, we love seeing that property turn.
Right.
That's what gets our juice going. We're like, yes,
Yes.
they finally got money in their account.
Bring it back
Right.
to life.
Bring it back.
Yes.
That's some of the things that we do. So I'm glad I had a chance to put that out there, because I want to see people live in their home and be comfortable, and their value, the stakeholders,
Yes.
you know, the stakeholders are making their value goes up.
Right.
And that's
And just remember that Mills Realty is here to help with that legacy, especially on the property side,
Yeah.
to make sure that this legacy continues in perpetuity forever. And you want to make that happen, especially for you and your family.
That's right.
Absolutely. That's the goal.
That's the goal.
That's a simple goal. We will make sure your legacy, and I like that, Lester. I'm thinking I'm gonna use that. I'll borrow that. You know what I'm saying? But that's what, you know, for me, because I've been doing this and you know, for a long time,
Yeah.
I'm passionate about making sure that people keep the value of their home, turn their property around.
Yeah.
You know, for the fact that the group that I'm a part of, CSO, Chicago Rehab Network, the Trouble Building Initiative, all that, we bring a lot to the table when you're part of our group. You bring a lot of experience, but we bring a lot of other people that we can help you with. I mean, we talk a lot with, this is one of the things that we do, that if you have a property in an area, I'm going to reach out to your alderman and say, we got a problem. And I'm going to reach out to your building department, to the building department. I was just talking to one of my maintenance guys today, and the commissioner of building, you know, we got him on the phone. We said, hey, we got an issue here. We got to deal with this. I'm looking at a property on the south side of the city, and the sidewalk has a drop I mean, anyone can fall down here. Nobody knows.
Yeah, just looking at that, something that's supposed to be maintained by the city of Chicago.
Right.
And the same thing, I've had people with $1 million water bills. Can you believe they got $1 million water bill? Yeah, it does happen. It's
It
one of
does.
those things. You have to be able to negotiate with the city and the water
Correct.
department to get this corrected.
Correct.
You know, as I was continuing what I was saying, I called the alderman's office. I said, "Do you know that we don't have any sidewalk? If now there's kids playing 15 feet away."
Yeah.
I said, "You know, if kids fall off, you know, nobody got a problem."
Yeah.
So I called the alderman. I said, "Hey, come look at this."
And it's an issue. Like, hey, it's something that, again, there's harm that's possibly there where kids and everyone can be injured. So it has to be
Yes.
taken care of. So Mills Realty is the people to call to make sure that it's corrected. So
That's
all we're
right.
trying to do is say, let you know, if you guys need some assistance, make that call.
Right.
And like I said, if they want to call us at 773.
226-57.
Looking for